stick over here with me.
Okay.
What you're going to see, if you laugh, I'm going to throw you at it. Because it's so old, you're going to see Jack Carone up there, who's the vice president of LCA, and when he had black hair, now he's got white hair. You're going to see Aaron Leiter up there, and we all look like mummies. Really, it's very sterile. You're going to see us all standing there looking very regal. And so by the way, if anybody wants to take and renew this with the information that's on it, I welcome you to modernize it because it's almost 20 years old. It's like 18 years old. Now, but the information that's in there is valuable. We used it in civil disobedience. We did more civil disobedience than all the other organizations in the country put together. Okay, who they are, we did more. We were doing them on such a regular basis. We had such success with civil disobedience because we did it in such a way that, you know, it was very organized. It was already laid out before we did it. There would be captains for each section of what they were doing. So everything in there is, sorry guys. Everything that's in there is very useful even today. It's just that we did it in a very formatted way. We did it in the studio, we shot it in the studio, all that. But please listen to the information. If you're going to laugh at us later. But it's, the information is very good. First, I want to introduce a couple people here. I want to introduce Bill Dyer. Bill Dyer's here. Bill was here during the times when we were doing some of this. Matter of fact, Bill's one of the founders of LCA. And now he's working with IDA. A couple people over here I want to mention is Dr. Les Stewart, Leadfoot Les, we talked about him before. And his wife, Susie Stewart, who's just been absolutely instrumental. And when it came down to doing the research and being patient and putting up with Les, she's been there every single minute of the time. She's been great. And not only that, he's probably one of the best dentists around. So if you ever get your teeth knocked out, that's the man. I have, as I've said before, I have a lot of respect for him, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see a little clip of that in here, where we actually kick the doors in at the research facility. It is, and you see, when we plan things, we didn't have one plan to get into the facility. We set up 4 different plans to break into the Brain Research Institute, because we did it on a day when there was about 400 or 500 law enforcement or security guards or school students working as security. There were about 400 or 500 because it was World Laboratory Animal Liberation Week. And as a matter of fact, I think at that time it might even just been day. No, it was week. And they knew we were going to be doing something pretty heavy because the year before we took over the Dean of Medical Research's office, we barricaded ourselves in there, and they actually were able to videotape what was going on from the open window outside. All the camera crews were out there. And here's Dr. Stewart over there wearing a white lab coat, and he took an extension cord, tied it around his waist, and tied it around the doorknob so that they couldn't pull the door open. So it was hitting the news that we took one of the doctors hostage. Meanwhile, he tied himself up against this thing so that they couldn't get in, because you only have one doorknob. And here's all these cops on the other side. Unfortunately for us, they were able to take the hinges out on the other side. The hinges were out on the other side. So they took the hinges out, but we barricaded the door up using Xerox paper boxes. So what happens, what I'm saying here, in doing direct action, civil disobedience, you gotta be thinking on your feet. You gotta always be thinking on your feet, constantly. You gotta, like I said, we have 4 plans. Each plan that we worked with had a contingency. We had, I think, 7 different diversionary forces set up. At one point, because I want to be in Building A over here, I had a diversionary force, a guy that looked like my size, and then his wife, who looked like my girlfriend at the time. They went in with about 5 or 6 people in Building B. I didn't want them to go to Building C or D that far away, because I wanted to draw the police away from Building A that we were going in, but not too far, because they may not go. They may send some other law enforcement officers over there. So I wanted these people to move away, and it worked. All that was left in that building was no, there were a few. What happened was we went to Plan B. Plan B said we do the same thing as Plan A, but we take the elevator instead of the 8 floors up from level B all the way up to level 6. We didn't want to do that. I figured, okay, everybody's going to be huffing and puffing, especially me. And I figured, okay, let's take the elevator. And the elevator was right there. So we take the elevator, and the elevator wouldn't go past the lobby floor. And it kept going back down. It went up to floor one time, and went back down. So finally on the lobby floor, we get off. As we're getting off, Lieutenant Huddleston was there from the UCLA police. She's there, and she says, wait, what's going on? Because there's 13 of us. And we got a camera crew, regular TV camera crew there. And so everybody gets on the next elevator. We go across the way to get on the next elevator to go up. And so she comes running over. She goes, wait, what's going on? So she puts her foot in the elevator door. And I said, and I had my hair all gray, and then I had black hair. Now it is gray. But I made it gray, and I wore these blue rimmed glasses so she wouldn't recognize me because she knew me. So I'm standing in the back of everybody in the elevator. I said, well, we got to go upstairs. I said, something's happening up there. And trying to disguise my voice. And so she goes, well, something's wrong here. Wait, she gets on the radio. She calls for help. They said, well, we just caught Krista Rose across the way with his crew. So this must be some other demonstrators. So and everybody's going, what do we do? What do we do? So we walked out of the elevator. All this is on film. You won't see all that here. But all of it's on film. We walk out, we're walking down, and here comes the, what is it, Cueva, Captain Cueva, Lieutenant Cueva. He's standing there, and he looks, and he goes, okay, it's just Krista Rose and his gang. Okay, they're out of here. So we left. We went back, we regrouped, got back in the van, used the UCLA parking card. We went through, we parked underneath the subterranean, went through the same thing, exact same route, except we took the stairs this time. And see, I didn't want to take the stairs the first time because I didn't want Les being tired to get up there and kick the door in. Now the deal is, you're supposed to, Aaron is supposed to open the door and go like this. I heard cats crying in here. Because your intent is not supposed to be to break into a place. Intent is very important in any civil disobedience that you're going to do. So the intent here is not to commit a crime. So it's going to be very spontaneous. You see, Aaron's going to go there and say, the door, I saw the cats, I heard the cats crying in here. The door is locked. He didn't even get done saying locked, and here comes Les. Boom! And there goes the door. It's gone. And then we go into the vivarium area, and there's 3 other doors. I think it was 3 or 4, right? And then there's 3 or 4, and then they started knocking those doors down. Meanwhile, I'm holding the other doors shut, and we got a regular TV camera crew going in there, and with a director, sound guy, and a camera guy. And we had one still guy shooting. And then you ask, okay, that's 12. The 13th person is our last diversionary person. That person led one of the security people away. And so finally I get my camera crew out of there. That's when the diversionary person took them. We got the camera crew out, and when the camera crew got out, they left, and this diversionary person got one of the security people to go in a different direction. So we were able to get all our crew out of it, this video out of it, because that was our number one concern is nobody gets hurt on either side. Nobody gets hurt. The number 2 is get our message out there. And that's what we did. We got the message out all over the world. So it's, to this day, it's the most powerful civil disobedience act ever. Now, what's the difference? You get civil disobedience, you get direct action, you get demonstration. Demonstrations, we all know what demonstrations are. You stand out there, demonstrating. When you do direct action, it could lead into civil disobedience. And what that means is, and they're going to talk about it, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But it's just basically, you're risking arrest. You're at the point of risking arrest. And they'll explain it more when you see this. So what I want to do first, Last Chance for Animals basically built on civil disobedience and direct action and demonstrations. We started out on that. We have been very effective. Because of it, we were able to shut down the largest shelter on the West Coast, which was the San Bernardino Animal Shelter, from selling about 800 or 900 dogs a year to research. That's just one facility. And we got them shut down just by doing civil disobedience, direct action. Now, direct action could also be, we opted to go to jail. Les, myself, we're actually in the hole in LA County Jail. LA County Jail is the toughest jail in the United States. And at the time, we opted to go in there rather than taking, 5 years or stay away order or whatever it was to stay away from UCLA. We opted to go in there as part of getting our word out there. That's a good thing. There's good to that. There's negative to it. You got to really make a decision at some point. Do you want to get arrested? Your intent is not to get arrested. You really don't want to get arrested. Anybody doing civil disobedience, you do not want to get arrested unless there's a reason for it. And you got to be very clear about your reason. Our reason was at that time, it was very fragmented, the movement. This is in April of 1988. It was very fragmented, the movement. We wanted to take the movement and unify it. We figured if we're in jail, other people did 24-hour, 24/7 vigilance at Westwood and LeConte, and they put up makeshift plastic tents and they slept there. The whole time we were in, and they were going on hunger strikes. He and I were on a hunger strike. We did 22 days. I think he did a little more than I did. No food at all, just dirty water. And so we were in the hole. We were in there with Richie Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Anybody know, if you know, he's one of the most notorious serial killers. We were in there, we talked to him all the time because there were only 6 cells out of 10,000 inmates. There were only 6 cells. And you got mass murderers, 4 mass murderers, and then you got Dr. Stewart and me in there for trespassing. Now, why are we in there? It wasn't to protect us, It was because it's a political thing. The UC system, we found out later on from one of the people whose laboratory that we broke in there, the main person. What was her name, nevertheless?
Jennifer Buchwald.
Buchwald. We found out because eventually I met Jennifer, it's a long story, Buchwald's granddaughter, and we found out stuff that she was, and I actually talked to Jennifer Buchwald. She called me in my office. She sent me rosary beads. She sent me a Bible. She sent me all this stuff because she found out that I had befriended her granddaughters. And she was afraid, and she felt I stole them away because they were going against her and what she was doing as far as the vivisection goes and all that. Anyway, just to go back to this. Les, do you want to say something about, why don't you come up here for a minute? Come on up. I got to tell you, I got so much admiration for this guy. When we did this, by the way, he was a lot bigger when we were doing, we got arrested. He never gained his weight back from being in jail. But I never seen in my life anybody so committed and, ready to give his life up. I mean, he almost lost his practice. I mean, just about did, all right? So, I mean, just about lost his practice, and he had to start all over again. Because it wasn't the first time we had gone to jail. There was another time we were in solitary confinement. I can tell you some funny stuff about that if we have time later. But this man here has put his ass on the line, and I've never seen anybody so committed to what he's doing. You want to say something about that?
Well, I think you pretty well said it. As far as the sad thing about it is still going on. It's really important to have some sort of continuity. They ended up putting a steel door. It was a wood door that we broke open. A solid core, but wood door. Now they've got a steel cage, essentially. One thing I want to mention, when we broke into that lab, I have an image I've never forgotten. We got in it was vivarium, but it was mostly cats. If I remember, it was almost entirely cats. And there was one cat I'll never forget. He must have weighed about 25 pounds, huge, the most beautiful white kitty I've ever seen. We have 2 cats, so I've really gotten to know cats. And they're a miracle. They're the original creation, if you look at them. They haven't been breeded, ours have. They haven't been altered. And they're beautiful creatures. And they're So I saw this white cat, and our mission was to get in and out. You know, we couldn't take animals out of there. And all those animals end up killed. And, you know, there's such sacrifice. And, you know, so, and we've studied all of what's going on at UCLA, and it's not relevant. That's the thing. You know, you have to take care of yourself. You've got to, you know, have a good lifestyle. And we know the causes of all these diseases. Animal experimentation, it's not relevant. So that's the important thing we've got to keep emphasizing, the scientific issue. But I think we need to do something again, you know, to bring it, to expose what's going on. So I'm so happy to see all these people interested, you know, in continuing the mission, so to speak. And it's very encouraging to me to see all of you here.
Chris, let me say something about that day. This was probably, out of all the demos we ever did, this was the best one. It was so well planned. And of course, the vivisectors knew we were coming. In those days, we'd get 200 or 300 people there. Okay, so the world knew that we were going to be at UCLA on that day. So the vivisectors planned a press conference early in the morning for all the press to come, and they had all these cute little bunnies there. They brought the press and said, "Isn't this terrific? I mean, look, aren't they cute and lovely and unharmed? And everything is just terrific." Well, 2 hours later, this footage that was shot, we quickly got it out of there. We made copies because all the press trucks were there. It went then around the world. We had calls from people in Israel that saw it, and it just pointed out that, you know, the lies that they were telling and what they saw. And you're seeing, when you see it here, you'll see the cats with electrodes in their head. Electrodes in their head. You know, it was just awful. But it worked because it was well planned. They had the diversionary other things happen. I think we were lucky in many regards, but it was, the camera crew got out of there quick. We were able to make copies of it and get it all over the world. It was on the Today Show. You know, I mean, it was a great demo.
Yeah, it's a tribute to Chris, how well organized it was. And I didn't, now that you remind me of how smoothly it went up the stairs and in.
Yeah, by the way, when we did those 8 flights
of being able to get in there.
Going up those 8 flights of stairs, all you hear is sound like stormtroopers coming up. And we're passing by vivisectors on the stairs, doctors, people on the stairs. We just had to focus, got up to the 6th floor. Aaron throws open the door. This is where the cats, boom, we didn't wait, we just kicked the door in.
So wasn't it some lady who told us about that was the door because she had walked by there?
Well, yes, listen, here's what happened. When you do these things, and just to get back on the focus of what to do when you're doing civil disobedience, we had already planned this. I had been into that vivarium probably 6, 7, 8 times before, or more, maybe 10 times, I don't even know. But I've been in there so many times, I knew exactly where to go, how to do it. In those buildings, there's 167 ingress, egress, in and out. I had to learn where they all were, so in case we needed to get out of there, like the one time we did have to get out, I knew exactly where to go, where to get out, and so, what were you saying, Bill?
Well, we met some woman who was visiting her husband there.
But we already planned this. So what happened is we took a letter that she sent to our office. We only got it 2 days before, 1 or 2 days before. She sends a letter. She says, I want to tell you, I went to see my husband in the cancer ward, and I got lost, and I came down, and I saw these cats in this horrible condition. I heard them crying. I walked in this room, and she saw some cats tied down, and I'm not going to go into the description of what it was, but it was pretty horrific. So anyway, this lady here, we used that paper to show that's why we're here. You know, we could have used another excuse, but we didn't need to. We had the most perfect excuse. Someone told us about this. That's why we're here. We have no intent to burglarize. We had no burglary tools. We just had lead foot, less foot. No tools. And literally, he told me he could kick that door in, and I said, okay, I'm trusting you. And we did, and he did do it.
Yeah, I lived out in Malibu. Susie and I lived out in Malibu at that time. We lived in the Malibu Bay Club. And for 7 years, I did the stairs from the ocean floor all the way up to the highway. So my legs are really strong.
Chris, what about the dumpster with all the dead cats?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, the dumpster.
Dumpsters, we got pictures
They just,
of all the dead cats dumped into this dumpster, and we use those pictures
yeah, the
constantly.
animals are expendable.
But, well, you know what, I'm gonna open it up just for that 5 minutes for questions, because then we're gonna run the video. The video's about 34 minutes long. Yes?
Thank you so much for your guys' story. It's so inspiring. I have a question. How do you, and this might be covered in your information, but how do you not, my problem is I get so emotional and so angry about it and so upset that, and I know that it's a certain personality that can step back and be proactive like you guys do and be able to be around the animals and see that and still be on your mission. But how do you psych yourself in that way so you're not like, you know,
Emotionally
going
wrapped
after
up
the
in-
doctors and trying to kill them in the hallway? And you know what I mean? How do you, it's a hard thing.
Well, I'm gonna say this to you, and you're not gonna like it. I see a dog, and I've been in more laboratories than I
Yeah.
care to think of. Dog in a laboratory, cat in a laboratory, to me, is just a piece of paper, it's a book, it's an inanimate object. If I get wrapped up
Right.
in the emotions of this animal, I got a job, I go in, the job is expose these people, bust them, put them in prison, do whatever it is that particular job requires. If I get wrapped up in it, it's no longer about the animals, it's about me, because I feel bad, I gotta scream, I'm gonna yell at this person, I'm gonna badger that person. It's no longer about the animals. Really, the animals are fucked. If we look at and we focus in and we stay focused and we come off what is the most effective way, and I can't stress that to people, what is the most effective way? What is your objective? The objective is you want to expose the bad people doing bad things. But if we got emotionally wrapped up, we start yelling at these doctors. We never did this. We got spat on, we got pushed, we got hit, we got tasered, we got beaten up. We never rated. So every time the media covered it, we looked good. There was one time when we did this gauntlet, one year, in '91, and it was about 300 of us, and we're walking down, and all these students and researchers all like in this gauntlet, you know, wearing their white lab coats, and I was the very last one to go, because I wanted to make sure everybody got through, and of course these guys all knew who I was. So as I'm going through, the one guy spits a big goober on me. Well, let me tell you, if he ever did that to me, anyplace else, go back home in my neighborhood in Jersey, I would have busted every bone in his body. He would never have walked again. But I don't do those things anymore. So, and I'm serious. And it took all I could, and I turned around and I looked at him, and I was like this. And it was a good thing I didn't, because the media was right there, Channel 13 caught it, and made them look so bad, and said an animal activist walks away after being spat on, and it made us look good. Let me tell you, I was fuming though. I was fuming. But my objective is, if we want to make a change with the animals, and it's something I can't stress enough to everybody, if we want to make a difference for these animals, we got to get laws passed. How are we going to get the laws passed? We got to convince that public out there that this is wrong, whatever it may be, whether it's the bee dealers, whatever. We got to convince that public so that that public puts the pressure on the politicians, or else they're not going to make a change. Let's face it, they're not going to. Status quo is going to stay the way it is for the next 1,000 years. It's not going to change. We need to convince the public, but if the way we convince the public is yelling and screaming, or if we start getting physical and physical confrontation with them, I promise you, it'll never, ever, ever change. We need to be smart about what we're doing. Let me tell you, the reason you see me, I backed off doing demonstrations because my tolerance these days is a lot less. I've led hundreds of demonstrations. I don't have much tolerance for those people anymore, the opposition. I don't have it. So I backed off, letting other people take it. And all I can say to the newer people that are doing demonstrations today, if you don't have the tolerance, back off. You gotta let somebody else have that tolerance, because you're gonna make everything that everybody else is working for look bad. But worse than that, the animals are gonna continue suffering. I can't stress that enough to anybody. We will never get anywhere if I start hitting somebody or, you know, yelling in his face. You want to look good. No matter how you do this, You want to come off looking good because it's going to go on, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are going to see this on TV. And right now, the animal rights movement, the pendulum's gone over here where we're all, you know, everybody thinks you're crazy again. There's those crazy animals. They used to think that. Then it got over here, and now we're back to the people thinking that we're crazy. We cannot, we need to represent the animals in a proper fashion. And I just had this meeting yesterday in my office with my staff. We are the spokespeople for the animals. If we don't do it right, again, they're screwed. And there's another word for it. They are totally screwed. I one time got up, some woman called me up doing an interview with me on the phone at 5:45 in the morning, and I didn't know I was getting this call, and she was belligerent and antagonistic, and if I put the phone down like this, and I'm sitting up in my bed, and I'm just fuming, and I barely answered her questions. So I didn't do a good job, and it was the first time. And this is why, you see me up here talking, I'm passionate about what I'm saying, because I have to be. You know, if we're going to do this, we got to do it properly. I got to motivate people. I got to do a good interview on TV or on the radio or wherever I'm at. Because a guy called me up one time, Bob Schwartz, and he said to me, "I'm very disgusted with what you did on that interview." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You are representing the animals." And he's right. Let me tell you something. And I listened to him open-mindedly while I was gritting my teeth. I wanted to sock him in the jaw. But I was gritting my teeth. And you know what? Those words still ring in my head. Because every minute, and this is what I was telling my staff yesterday, every minute you have to speak for the animals, make it the best you can. Make it the best you can. Say something intelligent. Say something that's going to make a difference to somebody sitting out there watching that little 27-inch screen. Make it sensible. Make it intelligent. Come off, because they'll listen to that. If we're yelling and screaming at them, I promise you, they're only going to look at us and say, "Fuck, you crazy people, what planet are they from?" And this is what happens. We're not crazy. We're intelligent. We just happen to care. We're compassionate. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm proud to say I'm a man and I'm compassionate. And I want to see a change for the animals. So I think this is what we need to do. We need to have our approach in such a way that we come off looking good and be effective. That's the idea here. Be effective. Be effective to make change for the animals. Now, going back to your other question.
One thing I wanted to mention, you know, getting it on film is really important. You know, when the police are beating up on some guy, you've seen that happen. You know, if you can get now, you know, they got the videos and everything. You can get it filmed. So I was just thinking, we live in Newbury Park, and Amgen is a drug company. Maybe you've heard of them. They're huge, but one of the biggest in the world. And they have what, about three, 4 blocks of buildings, including vivariums. And we just heard, my secretary in the office I'm in, she heard from one of the employees of Amgen, it's all secret, and they're operating, they use beagles there. So I've never had a beagle, but I guess they're gentle creatures. Is anybody here familiar with beagles? Pardon me?
Beagle puppy.
You have a beagle puppy? That's what they experiment on. And they kill all those animals, and they put them through horrendous experimentation.
Now,
I think they're very vulnerable. We can get in and get photos of what's going on. Because it's so secretive. They tell them you can't even talk about what's going on in there. That's what they mentioned.
So what really you got to do in any direct action is you got to plan it out. You got to think. You want it to be most effective. I always say to myself, all right, if I'm a vivisector, or I'm this piece of garbage over here that doesn't, what is it I don't want to happen? I don't want to be exposed on TV. I don't want somebody finding out what I'm doing. I don't want to find out that the money's not being, it's misappropriated, or whatever. So I think, okay, that's what they don't want. And my job is, that's what I got to do. I got to expose them. They cannot hide behind those walls forever. And it was difficult then. It's probably more difficult now. But it doesn't mean it can't be done. You could still go into these facilities and make it happen. We're going to show you the footage now because it runs about 35 minutes, and I'm going to open it up to more question and answers at that time, I'm sure many of you. For those of you guys, people that came in later, I apologize for the datedness of us looking like four mummies standing up there, but please listen to the words. It's what we are saying that is more important than how we look, because we've all gotten a lot older. And by the way, you see Les, you see Bill, you see me, we are old. We are tired. It is really you younger guys that are going to carry this and make it happen. And we're just telling you the successes we had. We had tremendous amounts of success. You know, Bill mentioned that this was the best one. Yes, but we had others at Cedars-Sinai, and I'll give you a quick example. We did a demonstration. We thought it was going to last a couple of hours. But it just kept going on and on because they figured, they'll go away. You know, it was the first time we took over Cedars-Sinai. We took over the building, when we dropped the banner from the Feinerman building, the roof. We dropped it from there. We had 4 girls go into the one research building. One got beat up by one of the researchers. And a few of us took over the truck, and I had 3 elderly, very elderly ladies down below. We all chained ourselves to the truck. And I was able to orchestrate it all from on top of the truck that was used to bring these animals in to the research facility of Cedars-Sinai. So because things kept changing by the minute, we had to change. So all of a sudden we find ourselves are up there for hours. Now the girls get beat up, they come out, we bring them up on the truck. We have the people that were up there on the roof, they got arrested, they were brought down, and later on they were released, they joined us. We had people out in the front demonstrating. And as it got dark, people were not able to see us, so we brought in big spotlights. And on the truck, we brought in and we're buying all this stuff in the meantime. We got a red beacon going around. It looked like a carnival. But the media was there for 13 hours. At 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, when they finally just all went to take a break, that's when they moved the cops in to arrest us. So, but we got 13 hours of media coverage, and I can't stress to you how effective that was and what we did. Nothing was on the news that day and the next day but that. These days, it's a little different. You know, we got to deal with the war in the city that we got in place, but we got to deal with all that stuff. But I got to tell you, we got so much media coverage, it was scary, and it was very, very effective. One other demonstration, and we had porta potties brought up. We had a porta potty brought up, and we had blankets, so we would hold the blankets. Anybody had to go, they put right in the little thing on the truck. And the little old ladies that were down there, we had to do the same thing. Bring the porta potty, I had porta potty down there for the little old ladies, and they hung in there with us. There were a couple times when, I forget what it was, I had to move, or they were wrestling. The ladies down there were chained, and they were chained to me, you know, and to all of us up there. But when I moved, they would get pulled up like this, you know. Anyway, it was very effective. Why? Because it was organized, and because we had an objective, and because we executed it to the best that we could. And that's the same thing with the break-in that we talked about before, and you're going to see some of it. And again, organize your demonstrations, your civil disobedience, have an objective. Objective is never to be arrested, because remember this, the vivisectors, the bad guys, they all would like you to be arrested. Because now you're caught up in this big system, and they're just turning you over in the system going to court. We tried it. I'm telling you, it doesn't really work. We had 26 people, 27 people, 26 of myself, 27 people go to court and figure out, let's go about the court system. We go to court, and we're going to have all court-appointed attorneys. So here's 27 people going to court with 27 attorneys. If you don't think that was mayhem, you know, we created a lot of, but it didn't break the system. Los Angeles has a lot of money, and their DA's office will prosecute, and they got plenty of money and plenty of time, and they'll spend as much money as they have to. 3 of us opted. We tried all these different things. Going to jail. We did solitary confinement. We got sentenced to 90 days. I think Les got 125 days in solitary confinement. Me and Aaron got 90 days. Got 45 days in a hole. And let me tell you, that's hard time. When you're locked in, and this is your walking space, that's it. That's a solid steel door. There's no window. There's no bars. It's a solid steel door. The only thing is they got a food tray slot where they put that down and they put the food in there. And some of the guards will sometimes just push it in, on the floor. You wake up in the morning, there's roaches all over the place. And this is all you have. You got a light on that's on 24/7. It was hard time. And it started, let's just say, it started to affect us. We're not bad people, we're not criminals. We didn't commit a crime, but we were trying to get the word out. This was all part of our direct action, and it just continued on and on and on. Anyway, we're going to show you the footage now, and please understand, again, it's old, like us, but listen to the words. Listen to what it takes to make the civil disobedience effective, make direct action effective. Investigations are a form of direct action, by the way. When we did the thing in jail, that's a form of direct action. You get demonstration, civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is when you're getting arrested doing what you do, and you're on the verge of breaking the law, or you are breaking the law. So what we're going to do, show you this now, and get the lights. Somebody get the lights.